only 3,000, but I thought they got 4. They said no, because they don't have lunch and they don't have, you know, the bus deal, so they get less money, so, you know. The supplementals in the city, you know, we can only take care of so much, but it goes back to me. We're still looking at Corvair versus Corvette as far as this school. We're still showing the same school, just adding a little more to do things. So we went through the same thing over at AB Tech, geothermal and all that. That's basically coming out of it. You know, there's things that can come out of this school that would save taxpayers' money, especially the county, city, all the way around. So that's what I'm looking at. They haven't changed the plan. They just brought the numbers because of the other areas.
And they still get a great school if it's done right.
Well, you said something that reminded me of something I had just forgotten. With the charter schools, whether they're county or city students, the school system the money follows the child. So that money comes out of their budget, even though you've put it in there, it has to come out and go there.
Exactly.
The city schools did lose a lawsuit, and it was high $700,000 to $800,000 they had to pay out of their capital too. So
They said that at Evergreen the other day, they came, you know, they just didn't want to pay it, but it was money that's supposed to follow the kid anyway.
Well, now this was capital. Capital's never really had to follow the child, but they lost in the lawsuit, and you know there's a push statewide to go after all school systems for that. The county just hasn't. They settled actually.
And if the city and county were merged, these schools would go to the top of the list, wouldn't they?
They would go to the top of the list on the school capital fund.
And the General Assembly is not inclined to merge. The city, I know the city and county don't want to merge, but we wouldn't be having this conversation if they merged, would we?
Not around capital, we wouldn't. And we did, you know, every year there's a bill comes up to say they're only going to fund one superintendent. But this is a year that didn't come up.
All right,
there's
what
11
about
councils.
this? This is crazy. What if the middle school, the plan is for it to be with a STEM slant to it, and the county kids could go there by a lottery system? Would that get any county money into it then if county kids could attend it?
They can attend it now.
Yeah,
But I mean,
they
couldn't it move into that funding if there was more?
not as long as it sits on city school property, it could. And we've looked at doing a middle college or an early college on the AB Tech campus, and the legislation doesn't let us spend money designated for either school system unless they own the property. But they do have to pay if you've got a county school student.
Right,
city
yeah,
school,
no, I
they
know
have
that,
to
yeah.
pay. So that'd be
Yeah.
the revenue stream for
Right.
that.
I just think, you know, I mean, feel a little sad, but really, I mean, we're on the edge of getting these 2 schools happening, and this is awesome. And so maybe our plans are changing a little bit. I just feel like that we can, I think between, you know, the school board and our staffs and us, I think we can figure out a way to look at what those annual cost of savings for Isaac Dixon will be. Look at the plans again. I think we can get there, but I don't think we can get there in this room today. And but so to answer your question, I think it's what you need to know in order to present a budget to us is the capital plan, and in terms of committing. And this is speaking for me, if we still have the middle school in play with the understanding that we can bump up the time frame if we can find the other dollars, I'm okay with, you know, putting Isaac Dixon in the front of the line in accordance with the school board and their staff's recommendation, and moving the ball forward. But also let them know that, you know, once again, just because it came in at 20.2 with this much closer, this is getting closer to real time, right, this one. But, you know, save. And the more that you save there, the quicker we can move up the middle school, so.
And this goes back to the thing that it's a plan. Once we adopt this and make the commitment
Right.
though, but when we adopt this in the budget, we are making the commitment for us to do the work and get to the financing for the
And
school.
I agree with
to be
what
sure
Holly
that-
said. What frustrates me about this is they just took the plan that they had. They didn't take a plan for an elementary school for that site. I think that's what's.
That
So what
is a question I've asked Alan to answer. is this the best actual design for the site? Because they priced out the design time and time again. Did the construction manager at risk look to see if there was a better design? It means going back and paying some architect fees if they decide it's not.
I that kind of makes my stomach hurt, but if the board wants to do that, but I really do think that would be, it would be more money in terms of
It'd be more
architecture fee,
architectural
and it
fees.
would be, it'd be time, which would get the construction costs would start going up. So, because as far as I've understood, and I'm not saying this is trump train, but as far as I'm understanding, this went up 1.2 million.
Yes.
Right, so this is, that's a lot of money. That's a lot of money. Everybody understands, Holly thinks that's a lot of money. But I think by the time that we say, okay, look for a different, we get an architect to look at a different plan, we buy another, 12 months, we probably, and assuming that they can come up with something, I don't know that we're gonna save $1.2 million in additional architect's fees and construction costs, escalation, so.
Well, for me, what I hear y'all saying is, go ahead and put Isaac Dixon in, let's get started on the work and plan to borrow the money. And then keep the middle school on the capital plan, knowing that our plan is to get to there, get that done in a timely fashion.
But it's set aside.
See, I mean, the big thing right now with cost, I apologize, my voice has been gone, but is what rate are we borrowing at right now?
Well, we borrowed our last at 2.7, but that won't hold.
Okay, 2.7. If the rates move, it's a whole
Yeah.
different picture.
Right.
And I think, to your point of if we keep studying something on that,
Yeah.
it's just gonna cost us. I mean, we spend $1.8 million.
We need to lock it in,
and Here we
yeah.
go again. We got to give somebody a number. And I don't know who comes up with that number, but there's a number somewhere that we're comfortable with and that the school board is comfortable with. And we have got to come up with a number to lock it in, and to stop studying and say, okay, architect, here's your number, do the plan.
Figure it out.
Yeah.
Figure it
Okay,
out.
but we can't leave this room without knowing that number today. If it's something different than 20.2, I've got to be able to look them in the eye and say, you got to bring this in for whatever dollar. Because right now, they brought us the plan, and I'd have to
But
go.
it's the same plan.
So what I would say is that, this would be this, once again, it's just Holly's proposal. Okay, 20.2. But this is what it's costing you, 2 years in the middle school, and the middle school number stays the same. So in other words, we are giving them a number to come down. I mean, like, it's a motivation for them to come in under if they can. But I feel that unless we really do want to say, none of that work, start over, I do think this is getting to where it is. This value engineering part is really close to what they said, unless we want to, reset and start all over.
What were the original numbers from last year?
Oh,
And how did they derive those?
actually, they brought us the numbers, and I don't know what the base form was, but when we said we could start the architectural study work, they were estimating 32 and 16. And then when they did the presentation, it was 47 and 19. And I'm not sure they didn't leave out a lot of their soft cost
Right.
with the initial numbers. And soft is not cheap.
No.
But there's not a big difference. There's not a big difference in the 16 and 20. There's a big difference in 32 and 47.
And I can go back and look, but what they presented us when they were here a few weeks ago, I can't remember the demolition cost, but there were some costs that they had left out of the initial estimates.
I think for Isaac Dixon, it was like $4.5 million.
I want to say it was about 8 or 9 million for middle school too.
Do you remember what the county's number is on there, on the last, what was, oh gosh, what's the one over in the south that was built?
It's
It's
18.
an effort.
I mean, y'all,
It was 18.
you can't even, yeah, I mean, it's, yeah, I mean, a lot more. This proposal's a lot more, I mean,
But
it is.
it was 18 though.
I think it was 18.9 or something like
It
that.
was 18.9 and we're 21 million. Well, that's
Yeah,
not a lot.
intermediate, yeah.
In my mind,
I see what you're
that's not a
saying,
lot.
yeah. Yeah, I was comparing it to.
Middle school's the one that just,
Yeah,
just kind of knocks me over.
I know.
The last middle school built was Cane Creek, right? It's been a while since we've had a
Yeah,
middle
Creek.
school.
And it was, what was it,
What's in
like
2 things
21
we
or
just built?
something?
Intermediate schools, 5th, 6th grade.
Well, the other thing that, you know,
It's not.
while we're just kind of talking about a lot of broader issues, and I can't remember if I mentioned this in this setting or not, I know I've mentioned it to individuals, and I've mentioned it to the city schools a lot. But when the dust settles with the new, you know, leadership or dust settles with interim leadership, I do think it is very prudent to suggest very strongly to the city schools to think about collectively look, as they brought together the transportation planning, and there's a lot of ways that the city and county works together in their school system that people don't even know about, that they already are very functionally consolidated. Let's be much more intentional about doing that around facilities. Because Buncombe County Schools does a great job with their facility management, and perhaps they could help manage the city schools. I don't know the right configuration of all that, you know.
Well, they're,
Asset consolidation.
Yeah, without getting into something that makes, I know we've got to pierce it all, so we keep our systems separate too, because nobody wants to get too combined, because everybody's happy the way they are.
They want their own stuff.
And
Yeah.
I think we, in just talking to Kip at the Chambers, she called that functional consolidation, where we're consolidating the function of the infrastructure.
And that would be a great place to start. I think it would give us a lot of, you know, security around the accountability to the taxpayers' money that we're allocating, and the county school system seems to be very open to that type of collaboration. So,
So
Long
what it sounds like to me is just, I've been listening more than talking, is that we all are committed to doing the schools.
Right.
And it sounds like we're committed to doing Isaac Dixon first, and I'm in agreement on this. But it also sounds like going forward after these schools, and based on what David's saying, we want an understanding with any future things we do with the city, they're going to have to ante up. There's going to have to be a change. I'm not sure exactly what that is, but just listening to everybody here at the way we do this. We're going to keep our end of the commitment, but they're going to be expecting some commitment from the city side.
The city school side.
Yes, city school side.
And I'll talk to them about the savings. I do think there will be savings just around energy, and I think it'll be, you know, at least mid-6 figures.
So that savings, to our point earlier, is that can that money go to help make the payment on the school?
I think we need to work out that arrangement with them. So
That'd be a
that
great
they can-
arrangement.
Mhm.
I think if they save $500,000, that $500,000 goes into debt service to this new
Yes.
school.
And I think
I've
that'd be
always
receptive to
felt
that.
like that,
Yeah.
I
for
think that would be very
whatever,
receptive.
for
And I think
maybe
we should do the
Texas.
math.
I totally
Do the
don't.
math on that.
Absolutely.
Do the math on that. So thanks for bringing that up earlier.
Well, one of the things that they talked about is their solar system, which I'm very skeptical about how much money it'll actually bring in. But if it did, then that money should go to debt service.
There are some estimates, I just got these this morning when I got here, so I haven't read them very closely, but there were some estimates somewhere along the way on what the savings would be on utilities. I'll go back and read it.
Well, and I do think, though, this is where, you know, Michael being in the room is probably good, but I do think it's the skin in the game we want. If I'm understanding those statutes right, we can't say
We
you
can't
must, we can't make them do that, but it can kind of happen backdoor in terms of what we allocate, you know, so, but we can't direct the schools how they
Right.
use a penny of their money.
That you can
Well-
only, they have functions, instructional services, instructional support services. I think there's 4 functions. You can appropriate down to the function, but you cannot appropriate below that. And they are not required to pay capital. So it'd be an agreement with them if they did that.
But wouldn't it be reasonable to say, because of this investment that we're making in you, we are planning in X, Y, and Z these years to reduce your whatever, or by inflation or whatever, your X payment. So the allocation that we make will be less in the future because we're investing on the front end. Just like we talked about the windows. We can do it like that, right? Because I want to give them a heads up, I guess.
Yeah, I think we do need to
in
give
terms
them
of
a heads up.
operational, for them to understand that, you know, at some point there might be either a flat line or down, but.
I actually think they would have to agree that what they saved in their operational budget, that they would funnel back to us to make the payment, because we are, to comply with the law, we do have to do an ADM
Oh, right,
split.
But that is a possibility.
Yeah, it's gonna take an agreement, and we can get to that.
How are the
Well,
rest?
this is a pretty big agreement.
And but that would be a great skin in the game, right? I mean,
Wouldn't hurt.
No. How are the rest of their schools?
You know, these are the only two I've toured. Claxton's new enough to where it should be pretty good. I don't know about the
Here's what I'm
others.
saying about the other schools. We will all be in rest homes, and someone else will have to deal with that, you know?
Yeah.
But your point is, there is a much longer problem out there to deal with Vance. But, you know, the truth of the matter is, with Vance and probably Hal Fletcher in the next, well, and maybe Jones, I don't know.
I think the
But
high
there's-
school's got some issues too.
Right, but they're not gonna like build a new ones.
No.
Yeah, so, but anyway, I guess my point is, do you think that, I would think most of those would be 7 to 10 years out though.
I think they would be too.
Why do you
if
think
not
I'm gonna be at a
longer.
I
rest
know,
home in
rest home in
17?
7 years?
It's gonna be great, rocking chairs, gonna be
Really?
awesome.
I'm sitting right in my.
Y'all be sitting on y'all might be sitting on my porch.
I
I don't know
know,
that they've got, I'll ask
I
if they've
think
got
this
a
is
plan
another
on that.
reason about this idea of the functional consolidation, for them to start doing some of that longer term planning and thinking through. Is the idea of the intermediate school that, the county is really, bought into, is that a way to think about the future of the city schools too? I don't know. I mean, I think that's where someone really needs to do some of that planning, and I don't think they just don't have the personnel to do it like the county does.
I think the goal has got to be that whether the kid lives in Inca or Swannanoa or the city of Asheville, they get a great education and a good facility.
Yeah.
It can't be state-of-the-art here,
It's gonna be reasonable.
or, you know what I mean? It's got to be, every child has to be afforded the same opportunity.
They don't need to carry that worry on. They got enough to worry about.
Right,
It's their job to figure it out, but
right.
it's okay with everybody having skin in the game of
Yeah, it is.
it. Nothing wrong with that.
And I think that's why we're all on board with building these schools, because these kids are, even though they live in the city schools, they're still county residents.
Well,
And
there's
they-
still little kids that need a good place
right.
to go.
And I think that's something everybody needs to understand is we're not bailing the city schools out. We're not bailing the city out. We're providing schools for county residents that happen to live in the city. I think that's an important message that needs to be gotten out there, especially to the county.
And our charge is to provide the schools. This distribution was something the General Assembly
Right.
imposed on us as a floor.
Right.
Not the most we can do, just the floor. And so anything we do over and above that is following our responsibility.
Okay, well then I will, when we get to the budget, this will be in the budget to go ahead with the Isaac Dixon School. It doesn't have a monetary impact on the 14 budget, but it has a monetary impact on the 15 budget.
Right.
Right.
That's where, once you commit, you're committed. So, I do just have a couple other pieces of information for you.
Y'all just went by my 4:30 meeting today.
The next,
Well, you got everybody together. it's
Yeah, that's
good
right,
stuff.
let's
You can use it all.
the next two pages really relate to the Culture and Recreation Authority, and nobody's paying any attention.
I'm listening to you.
Over here.
And the second of the culture, this is what will move to Culture and Recreation. This is the part of the capital plan that came from Culture and Recreation. It's something we will transfer to that authority if we're able to set it up to make decisions about that capital planning. It's where the bulk of the requests are. So I just want you to have that. And then the last page is something, we've got to nail these numbers down, and I really need them by no later than Monday if there's going to be any changes on that last page, which is nonprofit funding.
Can I make a little plea on that? Fiscal Legal is an incredible what they do. Not only do they do amazing things for the most forgotten in our community, but because of what they do, they save us a lot of money in the long run. They have been really, really hit hard. And if you can find it in your hearts and creativity that inch that number up, it will be money well spent. That's the last I'm gonna say about that. Maybe.
You should write that down, because it was really good.
Well, good. Can I give you all a tip? These little things for pension relief is really good.
Pension relief?
Yeah,
Maybe
try it.
remember that.
Yeah, it's really good. So that's my plea. They've really been hit hard, and probably of all the non-for-profits that we deal with, they probably do the most work in our community for the most forgotten.
You're playing one area is mine, and another one, Pack Place up here. We got them $395,000 presently. We paid $162,000 light bill and give them $233,000. And they come with $2.9 million from us. Our budget don't look too good. There's $250,000 worth. We were $1.3 million last year in nonprofits. This year, we're at $1.5 million. I can't see that, you know, one of them two numbers needs to go. We give them the 233 to go toward their building and 162 to pay their light bill. And that's what they get. That's a lot of money. I mean, it's helping them, but, you know, there's other people in the list that we didn't help. And Mountain Housing, right now, they got one project that's not done. We just give them $2 million on another project, and they're in here for another $150,000 for the Beacon thing, which my personal self, I looked at it with Wanda and I looked at it with Ellen. I would much rather see manufacturing in the old Beacon site, because they're looking at hops on the opposite side of the railroad track. So before we step up and turn this into a village, let's see if we can bring some
But
more.
remember what Gordon Meyer said to you.
He said,
He said, I've been trying for that for 6 years. It's not gonna happen. This is the best we can do.
well, right now, if he gets the thing on the other side, it's like
Oh,
if you
yeah.
build something will come.
Right, but in the
And he said the railroad tracks were in there, so, and you got a lot of people living there, and if you could get some kind of industry in there, that goes back to the ride your bicycle to work. Yeah.
And that's kind of one of the reasons I needed to hand this out, is there's still some that are real.
But
needs
that
thinking
pulls
around
that
them.
number, if you take just those three things out of it, that brings us 10% under where we were. Even if we bump hers up a little, we still would be at $1.1 million instead of $1.5 million, and versus $1.3 million as of last year. So, you know, that's
tell me-
looking at stewards of money.
So this is you need, so in other words, you're saying you need more input from the recommended line, right? Is that what you're asking about?
I guess what I'm really
If you want
saying
to
is,
give it more.
yeah.
If you want one,
It's
yeah.
a- yeah,
Okay.
we've laid this thing out for.
I'm sorry.
There's still
good,
two or
you
three,
know.
as you heard, that there's some, I just, if you want to change it, I've got to know, because we're
Yeah.
down to.
And this is what's gonna happen if we don't,
Yeah,
if there's
if we
not a
don't say a
consensus to change, okay.
That's what I'm gonna have in the back.
Gotcha.
That's why I mentioned certain things. Here we thought everybody's walking in that, oh, we got $8 million that we're missing. Well, no, we didn't, because last year they probably had the same thing. We wasn't on board. Holly and David would probably know how many people walked in and how much.
You didn't have no $8 million.
But,
No.
How much?
We had about 2 million
2 million,
requests.
yeah.
We had, we had some great big capital requests.
but that's like, I'm not trying to condemn Mountain Housing. They got a project out here that needs to start. They got a project that got done. And if some of this is payroll, from what I understand, 90,000 is payroll for looking at me. Does the county need to be putting up what 75 now, but I just seem to back off of that for a year.
One other quick clarification, educational moment for me. In terms of this, where's the piece of paper with the, oh, okay, the CRA piece. So when it says capital contingency, is that a number that would be potentially, we would be able to utilize to bring forth the capital plan for the CNR? Is that what that is?
Yeah, I'm confused for you.
Yeah, that's a great question, and I'll have to go back and look, see what we combined into that. And it may be what we had on the capital plan for 14.
It's this one, it's
This
about
one,
halfway down.
Yeah, let me
Yeah,
add,
so
I'll
there's-
get that question
there's-
answered.
That's
before.
what we're already
Got
in for the day.
Got it.
Mhm.
Thank you.
I'll get you details on that.
When is the
between now and
CRA
four.
gonna be?
I have let them know that I really need,
Kind of getting close.
we are getting close. If we're gonna adopt the 25th of June, we have to have everything posted on the 17th or 18th, so they only have another week. By the end of next week, they need to have acted. But they assure me they will.
When we walk in the room tonight, we're gonna start voting on some of this stuff.
No.
No,
No.
it's just a
No,
public
no,
hearing.
It's a public hearing
Yeah.
only.
We're just
So,
listening.
and where I'm at on this back list, from the beginning, I've challenged a half a penny, which was $1,300,000. If we stayed at a half a penny, we're under last year, we completely massage these numbers around, based on suggestions here, however, and still meet the needs, that would be awesome in my mind. That's almost
I've
close
seen
to
the
an X.
danger about comparing things to last year or years past. These not-for-profits haven't
I'm just talking
been,
about dollars.
no, I know, but these not-for-profits have not been hit as hard and have the challenges they've had previous. I mean, they've been hit hard, really, really hard. I don't know how much fiscal legal loss, but they lost a lot.
Well, you're not talking, I can get there on that.
Well, I goes back to the
I
same
got a
thing.
number.
I want everything that we have to work right, and, boy, we got our dogs by the wolf and stuff, they get hard, and they put stuff out, we go take them a bag dog food, we all wanna help in our own ways. And, we can only help so far because our trees are people, the bush is gone dry. And, if we add more into it, the bush is gonna be dry for quite a while.
For those of you who are
It's a
new,
good budget.
Yeah, I think
It's a
yeah.
good, really good budget.
Yeah.
I know we
appreciate
worked
that.
hard on it
Yeah,
staff's
every
done.
day.
They work very hard.
Every day.
and for those of you who are new to the budget process, the public hearing today is when the public does have a chance to tell y'all what they think of the budget too. So it could be a very long night. It could be,
Very painful.
it could be over
Why do you
30
bet?
minutes.
Why do you bet nobody's gonna come in and say, this is great, thanks for raising our taxes?
Well, and one other thing, just for, again, procedural wise, I did say at the last meeting, we could say things, and that's great, if you want to. You will have the opportunity next week, the next meeting, to say whatever, because then we'll be discussing it among ourselves.
Okay.
You do it again tonight, but you get an opportunity again on the 25th, yeah. So that's when we're gonna vote, so.
And I've told David and wanted this, but, so Gabriella has a concert at 7:30. And the last
Yeah.
time I missed her solo,
Yeah.
but so I
Yeah,
will
gotta
be
go.
walking out at like 7:18, I think, so,
And, historically, we have not had a lot.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
So Jay,
But-
do not put any paper there.
You're gonna leave
And-
Are you leaving tonight, Erwin? Or-
Well, it depends how many people are there. I mean, if people
Oh,
are
it's the
still
25th.
talking.
I was just gonna say, you
No,
can
the
catch,
25th, I'm good.
you can catch this on Channel 2 about a dozen times throughout the week. So,
Jerry can hook you up on YouTube, can't you?
You'll be there.
Yeah.
One of the things to remember to offer tonight, David and I were talking about it just a little bit earlier, if you have a lot from one organization, you can give one speaker a little longer to speak. And
Yeah.
Yeah, I think
you don't
it's,
have to hear the same
we
thing.
have, what's it, 10
Eight
people?
people give
8
you 10
people get
minutes.
10 minutes. 8 people
That's
yield their
good.
time.
I have an unrelated question to ask, but I keep forgetting to ask.
Five people before people.
How come the meetings aren't
No, it sucks, but
on Channel 2 Live?
3 people. in the
Actually, we
city
have bought the
is-
equipment to do that, it's just not installed yet, but we will be doing that very shortly.
Yay, that's great. That's great news.
But they can watch on,
They can watch the streaming, but live feed will be better, and that equipment should be here.
We're going to line it.
Yeah, we're waiting for the equipment to come in. And just so you know, when we vote, we'll vote one budget, one vote. We don't usually go in and vote. I mean, you can always pull something out, but we don't go vote by line items.
hold in short.
Thank y'all for taking the time.
Thank you
and
for
working
doing
it
all
out.
this, yep.
I think I hear everything.
I love
Is that
you
last
for it, man.